Johannesburg is the largest city in South Africa, and it is crumbling. What was once a thriving metropolis is now filled with crumbling infrastructure and many illegal immigrants. Public spaces have become dumping grounds for rubbish and the homeless. My friend Chris wants to change that. Delta Park is one of the largest public parks in Johannesburg and has succumbed to the same neglect as the city itself. We are here to fix that.
It's not somebody else's job to look after our own spaces. We live here, this is our place. So we need to show up and look after it. And I think the more people can do this, the better. The problems here in SA with fixing something like a park is not a money or a resource problem, it's an effort problem. If you show up, you can sort things out.
So we were together the whole morning, we took out a lot of trash, putting up new fences, you got a whole truck carrying out everything. I mean, how long does this take for you to put together?
To put together is a little bit of thinking, some planning. There's enough time between on the drive to work and back to organize all the materials and things, and to think up what to put on social media and on street groups in order to invite people to come out and help. It doesn't take a lot of effort. And this morning we spent, what's the time? We spent 3 hours here. We've re-erected 3 big sections of fence to make it secure, to make sections of the park secure again.
And you've taken out, what, I would say 4 tons of trash as well?
Yeah, it's an entire truck of trash. So City Parks was also here to help us out today. What we basically found today is they are keen and able to help us, but people need to tell them what they need to do. We need to help them with prioritization and tell them what we care about. If we're not there to fix things ourselves, why should they care? So there's some shorter term tactical work that we're busy with at the moment, and that's focused on just cleaning and securing the park. Longer term, we have dreams. We want to turn a park like Delta Park. For Joburgers, there isn't that much else to do and enjoy a green belt. We don't have the beach, we don't have the mountain, but we have a great park in the middle of our suburbs. And so we need to secure it. There's obviously different ways of securing it and making it nice for people to use. We need to come up with models that are sustainable, that can generate revenue, so that we can put that money back into the park. So we don't always have to rely on the city to allocate resources towards this. So, this is one of the camps over here. And there's always some form of way to collect water without fail. It's actually one of the most interesting ones because they don't have a handle, but I see they've made themselves one over here. The bucket is usually feed in here. This one's empty now.
And just trash everywhere.
And you'll see that as they collect and process water, and not just water, but cans and bottles and stuff, they'll start dumping it like this, and then they'll obviously start processing through it.
What are they looking for in terms of cans and
metal and glass? They get a couple rand per kilo depending on what they're looking for.
So are these like waste pickers that we see in the suburbs?
Yes and no. So looking at the paths that they've walked through here, there's actually a nicely camouflaged one now. You see how difficult these things are to spot. So this guy has got an entire shelter overhead. You can't see this from, doesn't matter what angle you're coming from. This one was vacated as well. Sometimes we actually go through the books that they've got because, believe it or not, they write addresses and stuff down. Hey, private pilot license. Kids.
You're just trying to study to be a pilot, man.
Yeah, he's just trying to be a pilot or a doctor, I'm sure. Now look at his entrance. You'd never know that was his entrance unless you saw the paths. And he's bolted under a mulberry tree.
And these tend to be sort of foreigners for the most part.
Yes, everyone that was in here was either Lesotho, Zimbabwean or Malawian. And it's funny enough, if you ask them where they're from, a lot of them are not, they're not afraid to say. Because they know, they're not going to go anywhere. And again, you want to find them, you follow the paths. It's a bird sanctuary, there's not supposed to be people in here, there isn't supposed to be paths. Here's another fireplace that they were using at some stage, which they moved on and abandoned. But again, look at the state that they leave it in.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to know this is the middle of Delta Park. It's a bird sanctuary. It was fenced off for decades so that birds could, well, find sanctuary really.
And it's beautiful, hey? This is beautiful. You bring your kids here, you bring your family here. Just so by the way, Acc Roodepoort is now getting involved in this area. So we will make it safer and we will help and assist where and how we can with the local community.
There's another.
This is the one we showed you earlier.
Another covering. What would you? So basically they steal carpets, as you said.
Yeah, and this is a curtain. So
I mean curtains. Yeah.
yeah, this is a curtain that they use to wrap themselves in. And I mean, you're not dealing with idiots really, because I mean they're using plastic to insulate themselves from the ground, and they're going as far as building literal structures. This was a frame at some stage. This was a literal frame, which they've tied together with a piece of plastic. But again, this is now someone's sheet from their bed, and they've cut down parts of the forest to build this. It's a smaller camp at some stage. They've obviously moved on. This is a really old one actually that they've moved on from quite a while ago. Another easy way to find where their camps are is to remember that they need some form of locating point in the middle of the night. Nice and easy for him to find in the middle of the dark.
So it's like a landmark for them.
Yeah, exactly that.
And
also, when you're going through these camps and stuff, you'll find like wire sometimes across the ground, because they use it as like an early warning. So for example here, but I mean this is now stripped wire. They've obviously stolen copper and they stripped this out. But sometimes they take this plastic sheeting and they string it out because it trips guys up when they're coming through and you make more noise.
these sort of guys, you do a lot of patrols with AfriForum in the West Rand. You're expanding that to more central suburbs.
Yes.
Who are these guys that you see here that create these sort of camps? As you said, they tend to be foreigners, but like, what are the characteristics of people like this?
So you'll find that for the most part. How are you, my guy?
Hello there.
You'll find that for the most part. Mind your step. It'd be funny if you fall and that's on camera.
I will edit that out.
Yeah. You find that for the most part it's always the same thing. So ideally they need somewhere to camp up for the night. And they need a place to sort of like keep their stuff. So you'll see that a lot of stuff that the guys are cleaning out now, obviously this is a lot of stuff that's burnt now over the years, but they tend to store a lot of trash from whatever they collect, and they tend to be very fierce about it. They don't want to give it up. You know,
Right.
everything of value is value to them, and it's usually the most random things. You'll throw away a little tin can, and for them it's money.
So Chris, once the park is clean, once we can control what happens here, then I assume it's time to build.
Yeah, and some of the ideas we have of creating a sustainable model to take care of this park, not just for us but for future generations like our kids too, is we want to privatize the park to an extent. There's an adopt a park program in the city. Examples of parks that have been adopted are like James and Ethel Park, or George Lear Park, or New Wyndham Park, where also for-profit enterprises have been put up. A restaurant with paddle courts that generates revenue, and the revenue that gets generated from that gets put straight back into the park. Security, cleanups, maintenance, all the rest, all the things that a park requires. Some of the ideas we're throwing around for Delta Park, it's a big park, and so it will require lots of these types of initiatives. But something like an acro branch in our forested area for the kids. What about a restaurant with some paddle courts or other sports facilities that residents who live in the neighbouring suburbs can come and enjoy? Spend some money on it. The money that gets spent goes straight back into looking after the